You're never too busy, too tired, too old, or too anything to pursue your dreams. Welcome to the Distracted Dreamer podcast, where you'll learn how to move all those never-ending distractions aside and chase your dreams with confidence. Hello, hello. I am so excited that you're here today for this very special episode. If this is your first time here, welcome to the Distracted Dreamer podcast. I'm your friend and host, Carlene. And I just want to remind you, use the link in the show notes that says send Carlene a text and let me know your thoughts after you listen today. Your text that's just between you and me, I can't even text you back. It doesn't even give me your whole phone number, but it's my way of being able to find out what's resonating with you, what other topics you want me to cover on the podcast. So I just want to know if you want more episodes like this, because so far, you have said you do want episodes like this. You've flooded my text and email saying you want to hear other people's stories, regular people like you and I with big dreams. And you want to hear how are others getting through the challenges, the self-doubt, the lack of motivation, whatever is distracting us from making progress on our dreams. I heard you, and today you are getting to listen in on a very intimate, eye-opening conversation I had with my dear friend, Alicia Staley Johnson. She's a successful photographer, artist, mentor, mom, wife, daughter, and friend to so many. And she's captured my family in photo shoots over the years, be it senior photo shoots of my 3 girls, family photo shoots, even during the pandemic, headshots for my business. And it is those photo shoots where our friendship was born and nurtured over the past 15 plus years, because it was never just a photo shoot. Alicia, she shows up and makes you feel comfortable in front of the camera. She takes an interest in what's going on in your life. And there's so many laughs along the way. And you're not just getting your picture taken. It's truly an experience, one that I'm forever grateful for. So Alicia, she's a fine art and portrait photographer. She's a creative entrepreneur and a dreamer who's finally done waiting for permission. At 59, after decades of building a successful photography business and quietly nurturing her creative passions, she realized that the only thing standing between her and her dreams was the fear of hearing no. For most of her life, that word held her back from submitting to magazines or entering art competitions or launching the workshops that she envisioned. She often felt like a fraud, paralyzed by the fear of judgment. But something shifted. And she realized that not trying guaranteed a no every time. And that regret felt heavier than any rejection. So she started saying yes to herself. And in the past 9 months alone, her fine artwork has been exhibited in Barcelona, accepted into the London Biennale, featured in Create magazine, and she's currently planning a residency in a mountain village in the south of France. Alicia's story is proof that chasing your dreams has no expiration date. She shares the real moments, the doubts, the setbacks, and the unexpected wins, and reminds us that the path isn't always straight, but is always unfolding exactly as it should. And her only regret is not starting sooner. But even that, she says, has shaped the story she was meant to live. And now she can't wait to see what comes next. Now, first, I want to share a behind-the-scenes conversation Alicia and I had before we dove into the episode. If you've ever felt like there is this piece of you that you've tucked away out of fear, I think what Alicia shares here about her identity as a portrait photographer, the owner of Alicia's Photography, and this other identity of a fine art photographer, I think this is going to speak to you. Take a listen.
It's really funny because I almost feel like I have 2 personas, Alicia's Photography and Alicia's Fine Art. Alicia's Fine Art is really who I am, like the romantic old person that I took down every day, because I am always been like an old person inside, but I wanted to be hip and cool. So I like tucked her down for all these years and I'm letting her out. Alicia's Photography is I'm trying to be the hip, cool person. And now I'm just old and I think it's ridiculous that I'm trying to be hip and cool. So I'm letting the old lady out. So if that makes sense. So today I'm trying to be in Alicia's Fine Art moments.
I don't know about you, but when she said that, I was like, oh my gosh, I can relate to that. So I hope there's a piece of you that can relate to that too, that maybe there's just even just a small piece of yourself that you've kept hidden for years. And as Alicia talks about it, she has such great energy behind it, doesn't she? And she's making it sound fun to go and let that other piece of you shine. Let it come out. Let's dive in here. So please help me welcome my dear friend, Alicia, to the Distracted Dreamer podcast. Alicia, I am so excited to see you again and to have this conversation. So thank you for making the time.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I will be honest, I'm going to be a little nervous, but we can do this. I'm not a wonderful speaker, but we've got this.
Oh, we have got this, and I've got you. No worries. And I have to tell you, I'm sure I've told you this before, but you are somebody that I have admired and been inspired by for a very long time. I mean, how long have we known each other? Like 15 years?
Oh, I think longer than that.
Longer than that, even. Long time. And there are big parts of your life that I want to learn about today. Like the behind the scenes, the choices, the mindset, the struggles, and how you found the courage to take the risks and actually go after your dreams. And where I want to start is, I'd love to have you speak directly to the person who is with us right now, who has made the time to be inspired and to learn from you. And can you tell them what might be different about their life or the life of a woman who they love if they really take to heart everything you're about to teach us and share with us today, and they apply it to their life? What could change?
Honestly, their dreams could come true a little sooner. I know that sounds it's such an easy answer, but that's one of my regrets is I wish that I would have started sooner so that I could reap the benefits and the joy that I'm having now at an earlier age. I think as women, we're in the middle of being with our families and taking care of family and home and school. And we tend to put ourselves on pause, and giving ourselves permission to just press that unpause button and move forward is a permission that we need to realize that we're worthy of so that we can get this dream going. And even if it's baby steps, you will get there. And it's going to be better than you could possibly ever imagine.
Do you think that if you would have started earlier, that your photography business and the fine art piece that you're doing now, the real soulful Alicia, that part of you, do you think it would have come out differently when you were younger?
Oh, I'm sure it would have. I mean, absolutely. I'm sure, though, that it would eventually grow and change and evolve into what it is. But I think, you know what? I say I have regrets and that I regret that I didn't start sooner. But I also truly believe that life gives you what you're capable of doing and handling. And I wouldn't be where I am now, and the art that I'm creating now wouldn't be quite the same with all of the life experiences that I have accumulated. I wouldn't change things, I guess, but it sure would have been fun to have that when I was a little younger, had a little more energy.
Yeah, I totally relate to that because I've been wanting to write a book for, I don't know, my entire life. And I finally feel like I'm in the place where I've lived enough life that like I can do this. And I think I wouldn't be writing the book that I'm writing right now.
That is very true. It's very true. It's something that actually I'm working on, is a book as well, and never felt that I was capable of doing. Never really felt like I had a story that was worth telling. And it's something that comes with age, that we begin to give ourselves that permission. And I do remember being like 11 or 12 and thinking, I'm going to be an author someday. It was funny because I was the girl getting F's in English, you know? So I always knew it was just one of those reachy things that I was really not going to do it. And it took another person saying, you need to write this book and I will connect you with my agent to make me go, really? Is something I could do? I'm a student. How many years ago? I understand what you're saying. I do say, though, that we do have more stories to tell. I guess it's more full circle. I'm not coming up with the word I'm looking for. But yes, there's just more there and there's more substance and we can share that. And I think your book is going to be amazing. I think mine is going to be cuckoo and a little 80.
Oh my gosh, yours is going to be.
It's going to be me. So
absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Alicia, our listeners really want to know, was there a pivotal thing that happened that you said, enough's enough. Now's the time that I'm going to do this? What was that moment?
Gosh, it's so hard. I'm going to probably go back to the pandemic, to be honest with you, when everything shut down and we really needed to pivot because our business is a contact business. We have a family business, photography, and everyone pitches in. I think we did a really good job of pivoting. And that made me feel stronger. It made me feel like I could accomplish anything, I guess, or at least great things. And also, it created such a large amount of anxiety and that I needed something to give me some peace. And also realize that life is short. So many people did lose their life during that. I'm staring 60 in the eye this year. And it was like, it's time for me to do something that is for me. And so I've always thought of doing this. I've just never really taken the time to, take the time to learn, because there is a learning curve from shooting from people to fine art. And so I just stopped and said, this is it. This is my year. I need to do some things that are going to reduce my anxiety and my stress and do something that fills my cup. And that's where it all began.
And how has that changed how you feel when you wake up every day?
I honestly feel more like the person that I was always meant to be. So I've always loved photographing people. But I've always found the beauty in art and in flowers, and quite frankly, the beauty in absolutely everything. But I wanted to create the art that I would like. I've seen other people's art and I was like, oh, I would love to create something like that. And I've always been this old soul that really like an old lady. And so everything is very romanticized. I'm sure my husband hates that. Everything is romantic. So it gives me a place to come and just create that romantic feeling and create the things that I see in the way I see it in the world. And it really makes me feel authentically whole now. So,
oh my gosh, that is beautiful. It's like you're who you've always been, but you've pushed it down for years. And yeah, and now, like you said, you're your whole person now, right? And all the parts of you are showing up and living.
I'm still evolving. I think we all are still evolving. I think there's a period in our lives where we tend to meld or fit in. So we don't always, especially high school, when we're raising our kids, we want to fit in with the other moms. And so we really do try to maybe stuff down the person who you really are or create this person that fits in. And there is something very freeing about becoming a woman of a certain age, I guess, or a person of a certain age. And it certainly makes me feel free to be who I am. And if friends or people don't love who that person is, then you don't have to be friends with me or you don't have to follow me. But I'm going to be who I am now and just be happy doing that.
I can so resonate with that because I reached a point, I think it was after my breast cancer, and I was like, what the heck am I doing? I am playing small. I'm not putting myself out there. I'm too worried about what other people think. And I don't want this to sound crass, but I came to this realization that I wouldn't trade my life with the people who are criticizing me or judging me. So why on earth do I care what they think? It doesn't even make sense. So people can think what they want to think, but I'm still going to do what I want to do. And I'm not going to base my choices on what other people think anymore. What matters is what I think and what I feel. And as long as I'm not hurting anybody in the process and I'm being a good, kind person, then it's okay. It's okay to be me and to follow my dreams.
I agree. And I love when you said, I made myself small. So I think that I honestly think women do that a lot just to socially fit in, or because when we do let ourselves out, people think, oh, they're being full of themselves or pompous, or boy, don't they think they're something. And that's not really our goal. It's not our place. We just are being unapologetically who we are.
Yeah. And I want to thank you so much for sharing that with everybody who's listening right now, because you just gave everybody permission to be themselves and to take the chance on themselves and to just do the things, big or small. Make money, don't make money with it, doesn't matter. Just do the thing that when you wake up in the morning, you feel like yourself through and through.
100%. That, yeah, I agree. I hope somebody takes that. I hope they don't take as long as it took me to get there. So, take that nugget and run, people. I love that.
Okay. And I've been reading your newsletter that you've started putting out, and they are beautiful. You are a beautiful writer, very talented.
Yeah.
And you have mentioned in your social posts and even in the newsletter that you mentioned the fear of hearing no has held you back for years. Can you take us into one of those moments when you almost submitted your work, but you didn't? Or what were some of the most believable lies that fear was telling you? And how did you start to challenge them? And how does that internal dialogue sound different today? I know that's a lot of questions.
No, that's okay. One thing about my mind is that I don't hang on to the actual moments, like the little moments, like big things I remember. Little ones, I just they hurt. I deal with them and then I move on. So I can't necessarily remember a specific one other than, because I've been thinking about this, there is a little store in Naperville, beautiful decor store, Little Luxuries. I'm sure you've been in there. And the owner, Sue Fink, I just love her. I think she's just the sweetest. But I always put her at this high level, like, oh, Sue owns a store in Naperville. And I always saw that she had photographs in the store in her frames from a photographer. I don't remember who it was actually. And every time I'd go in that store, I would think, oh my gosh, I wish that I could put my pictures in her frames. I think that my style and her style would go really well together, but I was scared to death to ask her. It would just be a big fat no. I knew she was going to tell me no. And I thought about doing that and then would talk myself out of it so many times. I mean, for years. And then finally, I asked. I don't know where the courage came from. I just asked. And it was a yes immediately. And my pictures are sitting in her frames. And I just love every time I go in there, I just love seeing them. It just makes me feel good. And it is a reminder to me that sometimes you just have to work up the courage to ask. Just put it out there. For all those years, it was a big fat no to me. I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I was a somebody enough that she would want to work with. So it was wonderful. What was the second question?
What were some of the most believable lies?
Well, I tend to be a perfectionist. Okay, not tend. I am a perfectionist when it comes to my work. I'm not that way, and I don't expect that from others and other people, and I don't see it in others, if that makes sense. But for me and my things and my art, I am a perfectionist. And so I would be fearful to submit something or go to a gallery or honestly sometimes put things on social media because I personally saw that the color was a little off, whereas someone else would not. They would think it was just an artistic take or the contrast was off or something, just something about my art wasn't perfect enough. It wasn't what I had envisioned. And therefore, it wasn't good enough for anybody else to see. So those lies do still tend to play, but I'm getting better about understanding that art is art. It's out there to be interpreted. No one knows what I had in my head. So we need to put it out there because it may resonate with someone else. So that's definitely it's something that I struggle with still to this day, but I'm learning to just be open to it and let it go and lower my expectations of perfection. So what was the third part of that?
You answered the third one and it's how did you challenge them? And it's that mindset shift of, hey, this is art. This is up to interpretation. That's the point of art. So it's kind of like when you're stuck in that perfectionist place, it's like you've forgotten why you're doing it.
Exactly.
You're doing this to give people the gift of interpreting the beautiful art that you do.
And it definitely gets in the way of creating art too when you are trying so hard to be perfect, because there is no such thing.
Right. It's like, how do you be creative and be perfect at the same time?
Precisely. Yeah. Tell that to my mind.
And the days when those old fears creep back in, we talked a little bit before we started actually recording this episode. You and I had a great conversation, and you talked about how there are those days where like maybe you just don't feel motivated or inspired. Is fear some of the reason for that? Are some of those lies creeping back in?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because I'm in one of those periods right this very minute. So I know.
Tell us more.
Yes, do tell. So I feel, I don't know if it's because I have a piece at the London Biennale coming up or what it is, but now I'm in my head of what if I can't create something as good as that? Or what if I've used up all of my talent? All of these things do play in your head. I think everyone feels that way, whether you're a social media person or whatever your job is. Oh, what if I just hit the end of all of my good luck? I know that's not the case. I know I need to just jump in and get in the studio here and create and just have fun. And I think it's truly, I'm losing sight of why I started this. I started this to fill my cup. I started this to fill my soul. And suddenly it's a little bit become a business. And if I can just tuck the business back down and start to do what makes me happy again, I will create and I will have fun.
So what can you do? Now I'm coaching you. What can you do to remind yourself of why you started this?
Oh gosh, I really, honestly, if I knew what I would do, you know what it is? So I am a person that tends to make things so much bigger than they need to be. Okay. Coming into the studio and creating when I just had bare minimum things to work with, I was pulling things from our family heirlooms, things like that, just to use to create still lifes. And it's difficult for me because I'm not a florist to order flowers. So to create those floral designs and photograph them is a little bit more difficult for me. So what I decided to do in my Alicia grand scheme is to build huge gardens. So I have been working on my garden plants and buying so many plants. It's insane. And planting them in my yard so that I can go out and cut my flowers and create my floral arrangements to shoot. So I've created this large project when it was really just supposed to be this small thing to go in and just create myself. But I think in the long run, it's going to pay off. I really do.
I've seen pictures. I've seen your pictures of your garden. And I don't think like we've told people this, but you used to have your photography business in a studio. Well, first, I think it was in your house.
It was for years. Yeah.
For years when you were first starting out. And we're going to talk about that. And then somewhere down the road, you moved to a place in downtown Naperville.
First Fifth Avenue Station.
Oh, and first, yes, you were in two places.
Yes.
That's right.
That was a long time ago.
Yes. And then you were like, well, the heck with this rent and everything. And you bought your beautiful home in beautiful grounds. And I think you guys call it
Our cozy compound.
our cozy compound. There you go. You guys have done fabulous work. Dan has built you a beautiful studio out there. You use it for Santa shoots. You have beautiful gardens. This is like a photographer's dream. The point is, you've expanded how you do business. And now you're like, well, I'm going to take this thing that I built for my business and I'm going to plant gardens so I can have flowers that I can use for my fine art. I think that makes so much sense.
It does make sense. It becomes a distraction, a lovely distraction for me. But I have to say, the one thing that Dan and I talk about is that this whole romanticized portion of me that I've always kept a little tucked down. I work well, and I think it's from the ADHD. I work well when things are organized. I work well when things are aesthetically pleasing, which sounds so snobby, and it's not meant that way. But to me, I would never go in someone else's home and be like, what the heck? It's just not who I am. But in my home, I work well if things are in their place and things look aesthetically pleasing. So everything in life is a vignette to me and a possibility for a beautiful picture. So he laughs, he says, you're curating this beautiful art piece of your life. To me, I'm just curating the life that I would like to live. And that's where the gardens come in. And it is my stress reducer. I don't really ever want to leave my compound.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why you would. It's stunning. It's home. You have your parents right there with you, but they have like their own entrance and garage and everything.
You're the same way, so don't sit over there. Your home is gorgeous and you love everything to be perfect too.
I do. You know me too well. We start talking about your photography business. Take us back to when you started that business. You were a young mom. You were juggling all the things. Dan was still working his job. What wisdom do you have for young moms out there who want to start something?
Yeah. So honestly, I did not have a lot of confidence growing up. And it was funny. The one thing and I'm not saying everyone needs that one person in their life to give them permission to go do it. I was young. I was probably 20, maybe 26, 27 years old. And everyone kept asking me to do pictures for them. And whether it be their wedding, just pictures of their kids. And I didn't do it professionally at that time. And I didn't really know. My camera literally was set on like the auto mode. Like it did everything for it. And it was film. That's how old I am. So, but my husband finally said to me, why don't you start a business? Why don't you start charging people for this service? And I said, oh, no, absolutely not. I am not good enough. And he said, you are. You need to start doing something about that. And it wasn't like he was looking for me to make more money. It was just more like, I know you would be happy with this and you need to have the confidence to step out. And I remember it was back in the, you had to submit your business to the yellow pages. I remember submitting it to the yellow pages and sitting by my phone. Like I know
now everybody's going to call
right away. Yes. And it was 100% a slow burn then. I had little kids at that time. We were remodeling a house at that time. So it was just a lot going on. The big shift for my business, because a lot of it back then was word of mouth. It did not hurt that I was an A for Alicia. So I was at the beginning of the yellow page.
Yes, very important.
Right. That was very helpful. But honestly, the shift for my business it was very lonely working alone. And it was, my husband would come home from work and I would show him pictures that I'd created and he'd be like, nice. And then get on with his business because he likes it, but he's used to seeing it every day. And I needed someone to go, oh my gosh, girl, everyone needs their posse. They need their people. And so I had worked really hard, decided I was following other photographers and seeing how big they had become. And I thought, I can do this. I'm not going to be this little mama at home doing shoots when my husband comes home from work. And so I just decided that every time I was sitting down to watch a television show or to relax, be working on the computer, start working and putting your name out there. And at that time, you could put your name into free directories and stuff. I just started a little at a time. It was one step at a time moving forward. And then it hit a point where and that was 2010. I asked my husband during what? We had a recession then, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I was clueless because I was raising children. I had no idea we were in a recession. Like, I want a brick and mortar. And bless his sweetheart, even though things were tight and tough then, he said, yes, let's do it. And so I got my brick and mortar and I was relentless. I'm really bad about being very super focused. So hyper focused. And I would I'd wake up at 7 in the morning and I'd start working and in between taking care of kids and then work until 1 o'clock in the morning, make sure we got it done. And that year we did super well and it's just grown ever since. So, because of that, I do have a hard time slowing down and allowing myself to relax because I feel like it'll all go away if I stop. So something I need to work. And that's where the fine art did come in, is to slow it down a little. Yeah.
If I interpreted what you said correctly, because I heard this come up a couple of times when you were talking, it's those little steps.
It is, honestly, when people ask me, it is the tiny. So how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. You can't just swallow the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Take baby steps and work towards that large moment. And it's going to feel like it's going to take forever, but time is flying. And look how fast our kids have grown. Look how fast. I mean, it's been 5 years from the pandemic. It feels like yesterday. Time flies. Baby steps, you're going to be so far ahead and you're going to be so successful in just a year or 2 years, 3 years, because you've put in the time.
Exactly. Now, you have been blessed with Dan. He is a wonderful husband. He has been so supportive of you, just like to saying, why don't you start a business? Why don't you make some money doing something that you love? And supporting you every step of the way. And eventually, I remember I was at your house. He quit his job.
Mm-hmm.
He left his job to join you in the business full time. And then you've also had your daughter Delaney in the business. But this has become a family business.
It has.
What do you say to people who don't have that kind of support? Not necessarily people in the business with them, but just the naysayers or the partner that's like, why are you doing this? Or we can't afford for you to do this. Do you have any words of wisdom?
I do, because I've had naysayers and I've had several little businesses along the way. And some of them have done really well, but just didn't fill my cup and we let them go. But I tend to push harder when someone says no. The no to me is a challenge. Sometimes that's not good, because I had someone say, why don't you stick with your photography business and not, let this other thing go? And it certainly pushed me forward. And we ended up having that business like at Costco and Kids R Us, Toys R Us, like all these different places. We'll take no as a challenge. Challenge accepted. I don't prove you wrong. But there are times that doesn't always work well for me. Because maybe that business was not supposed to happen, or that thing was not supposed to happen. But if you personally have someone that is pushing down your dreams, all I can say is that even with as lucky and as fortunate as I am to have the cheerleaders and the support that I have in my family, your biggest cheerleader is always going to be you. And it is really important to just put on the mute button for those people and just stay focused on yourself and keep cheering yourself. And even if you don't believe it at that moment, that you are all the things that you are, read books, chant them to yourself. I truly believe in manifesting. So you have to stop talking negative about yourself, and you have to mute out the naysayers, and you need to be your loudest and biggest cheerleader.
Amen. Okay. Now we're making another pivot here. Before we started recording, you were talking about sometimes our dreams, we think about our dreams and it's all rainbows and unicorns. And then when you actually start working on your dreams, it becomes, well, work. Dreams, there's stuff that you have to do. Some of the stuff you're going to love to do, some of the stuff you're not going to love to do. What's something that you know now that you didn't know then that other people might not realize about the behind the scenes work that goes into living the dream, no matter what the dream is?
Oh gosh. Well, it depends on which business we're talking about, because I do kind of keep them compartmentalized. But if we're speaking about Alicia's photography and the portrait business, I think I see a lot of photographers. I mean, the market is saturated with photographers now. A lot of women photographers, which I am a big cheerleader for. Absolutely. I do see the photographers tend to want to give away their product. They're giving it at a very low price because they think that's how they can be competitive. But when they're doing that, they're undervaluing their time. There is a lot that goes into this business that people don't see. People think, so when you come in and have your picture taken with me, or I meet you at a location and we do a shoot, people think that, well, you've taken my picture and that camera just did all its magic. And that hour is what I just paid for. And that is not true, because then when you get home or you get back to your office, there is editing, there is culling, just narrowing down the images to a reasonable amount, and editing. The hours that go into that is ridiculous. Then let's add to that the business aspect of it. I have employees, so I'm paying for my employees, the taxes that go on that, social media, all of the apps and tools that we need, the equipment. There's so many things that go into it. And I see photographers going under because they weren't prepared for the business aspect of it. So if I remember the question correctly, I just kind of squirreled there, I think, a little bit.
No, it's like about the behind the scenes, living the dream. And there's a cost to living the dream.
Yeah. And it does steal from the dream. Why do you want to be a photographer? You want to be a photographer because you love taking pictures. Well, that's great. But the picture portion is going to be this much. The business portion is going to be this much.
So the picture portion is going to be just this teeny tiny piece of it, but the business portion is actually this big piece of it.
And it's a game changer for some people. I don't think people realize that, and it can steal the joy. The thing that you have to do is make sure that you make the time to create the art, you learn to delegate, and you learn to buy the apps or the things that you need to do to make the behind the scenes and the business portion run smoothly and quicker so that you can enjoy doing the thing that you love. But you have to be prepared for that when you're going for your dream. So as a photographer, and that's what I'm speaking from, try and find a way to keep working on the part of the dream that you loved.
You need to somehow figure out a way, like make an online course or something where you can mentor other photographers. And I know of one that you have mentored. You sat down and just chatted with him and talked about pricing and how to make sure that he was really valuing the services that he's providing, because he is super, super talented. Yeah, our friend Eli.
I love him so much.
Yes. Yeah. Eli did something with your parents and he did a beautiful job. I cried. He's so incredibly talented.
He is phenomenal. He gave me the biggest gift. That was such a lovely gift. Yeah. And he is the sweetest soul.
Yeah. But you mentored him.
I didn't realize that. I just thought we were chatting. Yeah.
Okay. I put a social media post out the other day and it said something like, your invisible expertise is somebody else's breakthrough.
I love that. That is just perfect.
And that is what you do.
You need to put your name after that so when it's quoted from people.
Yes. Quote Carlene. Yes.
That's right. I love that.
I just feel like you give so much of yourself to other creatives and you don't even know it. You just said it right here. You don't even know it.
No, I don't even know it. I just talk a lot. But I'm glad that's happening, I guess. Oh my gosh. I just hate to see people struggle. It makes me sad, especially when they're going after their dream.
What would you say to somebody? There's a lot of people listening right now who are thinking that they've missed their chance.
Oh
It was
gosh.
too late. What do you say to
mean-
somebody?
I have so much to say on that. I have still so many dreams that I'm going after. And like I said, I'm facing 60 this year. So absolutely not. Oh gosh, I have so many stories. I don't even know where to begin, but I don't feel life is over till life is over. And I don't think I will ever stop dreaming and creating and coming up with, my husband calls me Lucy, coming up with crazy schemes until I take my last breath, because honestly, it's what keeps my life exciting. And I want people to have an exciting life. And so dream and start working towards those dreams. I watch my parents, and neither of them have anything after, like when my dad's business closed, the only thing he had was golf. And at some point, golf becomes more difficult too. He's 84. And my mom, she loves, her favorite thing to do is genealogy and TV. And that's it. And so I just, for me, it's like, well, create a new passion, come up with something. Like, I'm trying to find things for my dad to do, but all those little crazy dreams, keep dreaming, never stop, and keep going after them, because they're going to make your life interesting. And I know that didn't make sense, but I had so many things to say there and I melded them all into one.
That was perfect. For the perfectionist, that was perfect. I think everybody gets that. It's just our dreams are what keep us going. And when we don't have them, that's when we get sick. That's when we feel sad or depressed. That's when we stop interacting with people. That's the whole thing.
That was much more beautifully said than what I was trying to say. But yeah, that was exactly what I was trying to say. But I guess too is that a dream, like we keep talking about a dream, I don't think there has to be one dream. There can be multiple dreams. And some of them can be grand schemes and grand dreams, and some can be teeny tiny dreams. And they, like you said earlier, it could be, gosh, a dream of creating a new flower bed at your house. Well, yay, that gives you something to concentrate on, think about, and design and create, and just, it gives you something to keep busy. And then you can still have that really big dream that is maybe a career. But I think they're all the same. I really do. It keeps us alive. It's what makes us human.
Yeah, it's what feeds us.
What feeds us. Yeah.
So now I'm going to ask you my most favorite question that I ask everybody. And it's kind of a big one. I think I gave you a preview of it. Is if you could talk to your younger self, and this could be, tell us what age you would talk to yourself at, because this could be when you were a child even. What would you say to her now, knowing what you know?
So I do this often. I don't know why. I don't know if anybody else does this, but they're going to make me cry. It's going to be way better. Sorry, I've cried.
Okay.
Way better than you ever expected. Yeah. I really didn't think I was going to have much or be able to create or do much. And I will give credit to my husband, because it is so due, and my daughter, and my boys or my kids. It's going to be better than you could possibly ever expect it. And I will say that I'm talking to ages probably 11 all the way up until probably 28. Yeah. So I feel blessed.
Yeah. What did your 11-year-old self think about what was ahead for Alicia?
I was not a good student in school. Back then, they didn't really diagnose with ADHD, and I've never really been formally diagnosed. I've self-diagnosed, but I'm pretty spot on. So I'm a great example of ADHD. So I didn't really conform well to the whole school thing. I faked it till I made it and obviously got through school. But boy, the minute I was able to start focusing on the things that I love It was a game changer for me. But my 11-year-old self, I used to think of things to prove to people that I was smart. Like we said earlier, I'm going to be an author, or I'm going to be an architect, or I'm going to be all these big things. But honestly, I don't think in my heart I really thought I would be able to do any of those things. I think if we could go back and tell ourselves, or even if anybody's listening out there, they have children, just always believe in them and always tell them that they can do anything. Don't put limits on them. Don't put labels on them. And don't, even if they have ADHD or anything, don't let them use it as a crutch, because I see my ADHD as a superpower. It's what has helped me curate the life that we have. So, 11-year-old Alicia would be, I think, a little shocked and really proud.
Yes, really proud. And, what an amazing thing to be able to see that, to have that perspective now.
Yeah.
That 11-year-old Alicia would be so proud of you right now.
I think she would be happy. Yeah. Also be able to relax just a little bit, knowing that something good was coming.
Yes. Absolutely. Now, what are your parting words of wisdom for our listeners today?
Gosh, if you're willing to break down the walls and of just negativity, and even willing to start taking those little bites towards your goals and your dreams, you better be prepared for a beautiful brand new chapter, because it's going to happen.
I love that. I love that. So you're going to write that in your book?
If I can remember it.
Well, it's a good thing we're recording.
It's a good thing.
And if any of you want to get in touch with Alicia, go down to the show notes. You can find links to her Instagram, her Alicia's photography business, and her fine arts website. Beautiful, beautiful artwork out there. Well, thank you so much, Alicia, for taking the time to be here. I know you've been so busy traveling the world, and oh my gosh. Are you really going to go do a residency in France?
I believe so. Yes, maybe next spring if things go well. Yeah, I'm excited. A little nervous about that too. Everything makes me a little nervous, but
yeah. Well, you were nervous about doing the podcast today.
I was,
and so now you've done your first podcast, so now you can go on other podcasts.
But this will always be my favorite. So, thank you so much for having me, Carlene. I just think so highly of you and everything that you've accomplished. And I'm proud of you, because you've overcome some really huge challenges. And really, you always make lemonade out of lemons. And I'm just super, super proud of you. I've always looked up to you in your business. So I hope you know that.
Well, thank you. Now you're going to make me cry. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Alicia. Wow. I hope you had as much fun listening to this episode as Alicia and I had creating it for you. There were so many nuggets, like true gems, that I took away from Alicia's story. Here's what I'm taking away today. First, I think it's true. It's the teeny tiny steps that you take that add up. Your entire life can change in a year or 2 or 3. Stop worrying about the big stuff. Focus on getting the little things right every day, and the positive ripple effect will be what changes your life. The second thing I'm taking away is the next time someone tells you no, that it's not possible or diminishes your dreams, see that as a challenge to prove them wrong. While it's great to have your posse of supporters, remember, you are your biggest cheerleader. The third thing that I'm really taking away from Alicia today is make the ask. Always ask. It's cliche, but true. If you don't ask, it's a no 100% of the time. When you ask, there's a 50-50 chance you'll get a yes. Look what happened for Alicia. So be courageous and always ask. My fourth takeaway is to always value your work, value your contribution. If your dream is a business, do not underprice yourself. You can't serve others if your business doesn't survive. And the last thing I'm taking away is nothing builds confidence like sharing your wisdom with others. Be that mentor, because your invisible expertise is someone else's breakthrough. Now, I would love to hear what your takeaways are. There's so much in this episode. I think I need to go back and listen to it a couple times because I know there's other things in there. But those are just 5 to get you going. Go back and listen again. Take some notes. What are some lessons that you can take from Alicia and make some changes in your life or start focusing on your dreams in a different way? I want you to know that whatever those dreams are that you see for yourself, no matter if they're big or small, however crazy, unlikely, or silly they seem, I see it for you. And if you don't believe in you, let me believe in you. And if you don't know you can do it, then let me know it for you. You'll always feel a little bit lost right before you find yourself again. So keep going. And until next time, remember, dreaming isn't foolish, it's sacred. And you, my friend, are worthy of joy, creativity, and a life that feels like your own. Thank you so much for listening, and I will be back next week to welcome you to our next conversation. Oh, and one more thing. This is the legal language. You know, the stuff that the lawyers put together, and they say that I need to read this to you. So here we go. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. I'm just your friend. I'm not a licensed therapist. This podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professionals. Got it? Good. I will see you in the next episode.